Okay, so in working on writing information books, we should have at least a chapter or two. Hopefully you're started on the third one by now, and you're really writing through and getting your information down into the book, because that's the first step is to get all that down. Now, in this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to use a checklist to assess whether you've done everything on the checklist. And I'm going to use some writing that probably isn't that great because right now I have about 2 paragraphs written and one chapter. So as I look through the checklist, you'll kind of see that I probably am not checking off a lot of it. So here's my text that I'm looking at, and I'm going to come over here and look at the checklist I'm going to use. I'm going to start over here. Overall, I use different kinds of information to teach about the subject. Sometimes I included little essays, stories, or how-to sections in my writing. So I'm going to say like starting to, and here's why. It says, right here it says like what to do in class. If students are watching video lectures at home, the question arises, how will they spend class time? Well, to start out in the flipped classroom, I would recommend they do their homework. For example, in math class, you might spend 40 minutes lecturing. So I'm giving kind of like a how-to here and explaining this. And then I'm kind of providing a situation or a story. So I'd say, yeah, I am using different kind of information. And I also have the image there too. So I'd say I am definitely starting to on this one. I wrote an introduction that helps readers get interested in and understand the subject. I let readers know subtopics I would be developing later as well as the sequence. So I would say yes, I do all of that. I would say that it starts out with a question, which is good. It gets people thinking. So it's going to have my readers start out with a question, and like even the headings themselves are questions. And I think that might help. Plus, in terms of letting them know what's going to happen, I have a table of contents right here. So my table of contents that I have is going to allow the reader to know what to do. So yeah, in terms of um, my lead, I think I'm good with the lead so far, but I need to keep that up because in the leads in future chapters, I want to make sure I am also doing things that'll help the readers know what's going on. Um, Transition. When I wrote about results, I used words, phrases like consequently, as a result, because of this. When I compared information, I used words such as phrases in contrast by comparison, especially in narrative parts. I used phrases that go with stories, such as little later, 3 hours later. In sections that stated opinion, I used words such as but the most important reason, for example, and consequently. Um, oops. I don't know that I have good transition words. Well, now they can do the problems in class the day after the video. In math class, you might spend, so I'm kind of giving an example here. Have you ever had a parent write a note about a homework saying they couldn't figure it out? Well, now all students have to do at home is watch the video and take notes. If parents have questions, they can watch the video along with the students, and then they can develop questions together to bring to class. Bringing questions to class about the video is an excellent idea for responding to the videos. So this is like an opinion right here. So I can use the transition word from the checklist and improve this. It said, um, in phrases that go with stories in sections, say an opinion, I use words such as but the most important reason. I don't know this is most important. Bringing questions to class about the video is, I'm going to not say excellent, I'm going to say an important part for student learning and a great idea. I'll put a comma here, for instance, and no, actually that's not a compound sentence. And a great idea for responding to videos. Okay, just a compound predicate. All right, so, and a great idea for responding to videos. So that's how I would revise that sentence and add in that transition phrase from the checklist. So I would say right here, I'm starting to. Ending, I wrote a conclusion, which I restated the main points and have offered a final thought or question. So I haven't even written the conclusion or overall text yet, so no, I have not done an ending yet. Organization, I organized my writing into a sequence of separate sections. I may have used headings and subheadings. Yes, definitely doing that one. I wrote each section according to an organizational plan shaped partly by the genre of the section. Yes, I am doing that. I have those organizational plans in place. I'm starting with an organized list, and then I'm organizing this first chapter, um, kind of compare and contrast, and with between what do you do in class and what do you do for homework, and then I have some more sections I had planned out as well in my notes. Keep going down the checklist. You kind of get the idea. You look at this, then you look at your text, and then you say, did I do this? How well? And then what can I do to make it better? So like the ending, I need to actually just get my writing done and get the ending done. So you'll notice that there's some things that maybe you can't assess accurately now. And you need to work your way through the checklist, and you'll have a copy of this in class, and you're going to work your way through, and you are going to edit and revise the chapters you've written, but also not just are you going to need to go back, but you also need to, moving forward, making sure you're doing all the things in the checklist. So punctuation, I use a variety of punctuation to fix run-on sentences. I use punctuation to cite my sources. So in this case, I do have my source cited because I was automatically using I used the research tool. So my source is cited right down there. And then, like, I remember I was debating about this sentence, so I might maybe ask someone for help and make sure that, hey, this sentence, bringing in questions to class about the video, so bringing questions to class about the video, that's like my subject, is an important part for student learning and a great idea. So it's both of these things. So these are both just kind of like part of the predicate. I would define it and say this is a compound predicate. I mean, I won't need a comma because it's not a compound sentence, but this makes a complex sentence, which is a good thing to have. So when you're looking, and so my things are spelled right because I've been using spell checker pretty good. So I think there's usually something about like sentence variety in here. And that's maybe not be on the 5th grade checklist. I don't know. But so I use commas set up introductory parts of sentences. For example, so I'm supposed to use a comma when I do that, and I didn't do that. So I came up here, for example, I used a colon instead. So if it wants me to use a comma, for example, and that should be a lowercase I, so I fix that. For example, so I set off an introductory part to a sentence with a comma, again, by using the checklist. Again, your job is to go through the checklist, look at your own writing, and fix it. Sentence by sentence, paragraph by paragraph, page by page. Obviously, you're going to be editing, but you also want to then use these skills as you continue to write and work on your writing. So you really have two choices. You can go back and look at your old writing and fix it, or you can continue finishing the text and then go back when you're done. But just keep in mind, review the checklist, and keep in mind that you want to be checking that yourself towards the yes column, especially since we're looking at a grade 5 checklist. You want to be in the yes column for all of these when you finish your piece, maybe even going above, beyond, and above what these are.